Chapter 6. Opening of the first 6 seals. Introduction to the seals. The church period closes with the Lord's repudiation of that which publicly bears the Christian name. Romans 11 verses 21 and 22, Revelation 3 verse 16. And with the gathering of all saints, the raised dead and changed living, at the coming of the Lord in person. 1 Thessalonians 4 verses 15 to 17, 2 Thessalonians 2 verse 1. The present position of the Lord, walking in the midst of the churches, overseeing all and awarding mingled praise and blame, is the characteristic truth graven on chapters 2 and 3 of the Apocalypse. To us, how great the profit, how full and valuable the lessons. Now, a consideration of the formula "after these things" will assist us here. It occurs twice in verse 1 of chapter 4, is also found in chapters 7 verse 9, 15 verse 5, 18 verse 1, 19 verse 1. See Revised Version. Also Genesis 15 verse 1 and 22 verse 1. The formula seems to form a connecting link between a series of events already past and of others to follow. What then is the obvious inference from its double occurrence in chapter 4 verse 1? Is it not that the history of the church on earth, chapters 2 and 3, as beheld by the seer in vision, is past, and that consequently a new series of events is to be unfolded? The 24 elders who take an important part in the heavenly actions and scenes described by the seer are first mentioned in chapter 4. Their representative number and title evidently point them out as signifying the whole company of the redeemed of the past and present age. Now it is frankly conceded that no express apocalyptic statement affirms the translation of the saints to heaven. Chapter 11 verse 12 refers to a small and special company. Paul is the only one of the New Testament writers who affirms it. John, on the contrary, dwells on the manifestation of the saints with Christ at his appearing. The former shows our gathering together to him and our subsequent return with him. John writes of the latter only. The 24 elders signify the redeemed in heaven, so that their translation had already taken place. The seer also shows them in vision coming out of heaven, chapters 19 verse 11 to 14 and 21 verse 10. In what part of the book can you put their translation? After chapter 3, which closes the church period, and before chapter 4, which introduces a new series of events, and in which the elders or redeemed in heaven are prominent. We look, therefore, for the fulfillment of John 14 verse 3 and 1 Thessalonians 4 verses 15 to 17 between these two chapters of the Apocalypse. The 24 elders are seen on high, but the fact of their rapture is assumed, not stated, and unless this is admitted, an intelligent understanding of the book is impossible. It follows, therefore, that the church is not on earth during the apocalyptic judgments. As we have seen from the first mention of the elders, chapter 4 verse 4, till the last, chapter 19 verse 4, heaven is their home. We are about to enter on an examination of the strictly prophetic part of the book, and we do so with this fact before us, that the 3 different series of judgments, seals, trumpets, and vials, have their place in the interval between our gathering to the Lord himself, and his and our manifestation to the world at the close of Daniel's last prophetic week. The translated saints are in heaven during the 70th week of Daniel, a period of 7 years, during the latter half of which the great tribulation rages fiercely on earth, involving in its unparalleled sorrow a godly Jewish and a godly Gentile company, called out to witness for God after the partakers of the heavenly calling have been translated. The Church is expressly promised exemption from the tribulation. Chapter 3, verse 10. Prophecy relates to the earth, but the Church, as Christ's body and the Lamb's bride, that which is nearest and dearest to him, is necessarily associated with him in the heavens, and consequently outside the sphere of prophetic dealing. Still, while insisting upon the full and precise fulfillment of the prophetic section of the Apocalypse in the brief crisis covered by Daniel's last week of years, we are far from denying a historical application to the past and present. But analogy is one thing and literal fulfillment another. The latter can only be sought for at the end. The first seal. Peculiarities. Verses 1 and 2. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the 7 seals, and I heard one of the 4 living creatures saying, as in a voice of thunder, Come. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon it having a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he went forth conquering, and that he might conquer. The judgments under the seals and trumpets are not contemporaneous, but successive. The former cover a larger area than the trumpets, but these latter, on the other hand, are more severe and searching in character. Observe, too, that the Lamb is connected with the seals, the angels with the trumpets, and God with the vials or bowls of wrath. In this preliminary announcement of coming judgment, there is a fullness and precision of statement not found in the opening of the remaining 6 seals, or even in the first trumpet and first vial. Here the cardinal 1 is alone used, and not the ordinal first, etc., as in all the others. And I saw is uttered twice. John was an intensely observant eyewitness. He saw the act of the Lamb in opening the seal, verse 1. He also saw the minister of judgment, verse 2. The various coloured horses in the first 4 seals represent in symbol the human agencies employed in the execution of these judgments on earth, which are providential in character. But as Christians having the mind of Christ, i.e., the discerning faculty, we look behind the mere historical course of events and trace all to the unseen source, God himself. So the living creatures, the executive of the throne, successively call on the human instruments of vengeance to execute their divinely appointed task. They cannot move in judgment till summoned by the throne to do so. What a strength to the heart in days of evil! The first 4 seals are characterized by the living creatures and horses. In the remaining 3 there is no mention made of either. In the first seal only a living creature speaks, as in a voice of thunder, and at once the first prophetic event foretold in the Apocalypse comes into view. Prophecy opens. The words in verses 1, 3, 5 and 7 and C should be omitted, as in the Revised Version. With this, Tregelles, Kelly and others agree. The retention of the words would make it a call to John to come and see. But why the incongruity of speaking to him in a voice of thunder? Their deletion makes the come a summons to the human instrument employed in these earthly chastisements. The loud summons and its immediate answer. The response to the loud and imperative command of the living creature was instantly obeyed. And behold, a white horse, and him that sat upon it. A war horse is evidently referred to. Now the horseman cannot, as the mass of expositors allege, signify Christ on a career of conquest. Psalm 45, and especially Revelation 19, verse 11, have been confidently alleged in proof of the application of the first seal to Christ. But both the psalmist and the seer direct us to Christ in that grand moment of his coming to assume the sovereignty of the world, whereas the first seal epoch refers to a time some years before the introduction of the kingdom in power. In chapter 19, the rider is named. Here he is not named. From what part of the earth the seal horseman emerges, we are not informed. We have here a symbol of conquering power. A white horse denotes victorious power. It points to the advent on the prophetic scene of a power bent on conquest. A career of unchecked, brilliant, yet almost bloodless victory lies before this coming royal warrior of worldwide fame. A Cyrus, an Alexander, or a Napoleon in triumphs and conquests, but without bloodshed and slaughter, is the horse and rider of the first seal. Having a bow. The returned Jews from Babylon in the rebuilding of Jerusalem were armed with swords, their spears, and their bows. Nehemiah 4, verse 13. Hand-to-hand conflict demands the use of the sword. A little distance off, the spear would be required, while more distant warfare is expressed by the bow. This latter weapon would not do much execution, hence its employment as a symbol of war afar off, and that not of a very deadly character. A crown was given to him. This must be more than the chaplet of victory bestowed on the conqueror at the close of a successful campaign, for here the crown is given ere victory is spoken of. Imperial or royal dignity is conferred on this distinguished personage before he enters on his wonderful career of conquest. He went forth conquering that he might conquer. Victory after victory, conquest after conquest, without reverse or cessation, marked the royal progress of the hero of the coming day and hour. The symbols under this and the succeeding seals are simple enough and full of meaning. The second seal. Characteristics of the second seal, verses 3 and 4. And when he opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature saying, Come. And another, a red horse, went forth, and to him that sat upon it, to him it was given to take peace from the earth, and that they should slay one another. And there was given to him a great sword. In all the seal judgments, save the second, the seer informs us that he was an eyewitness. I saw. Then under the other seals, the word behold precedes the description of the horse, whereas it is here omitted. Instead of behold, the word another is added, not found in the other seals. These may be termed trivial differences, but as we are firm believers in the verbal inspiration of the Holy Scriptures, we are satisfied that there is a divine meaning in these seemingly unimportant details. The occurrence of the words I saw and behold in the first seal, and their omission in the second, may be accounted for by the fact that the word another in the latter connects the two seals. Thus I saw, and behold, another, a red horse. In answer to the summons, come, of the second living creature, a red horse went forth. Why red? And what is its special significance? The white horse denotes a series of peaceful victories. The red horse, on the other hand, intimates a period of slaughter and bloodshed. Isaiah 63 verse 2, Revelation 12 verse 3. The rider is unnamed. It is the day of the Lord's vengeance on the guilty seen. Hence the repetition of the pronoun him, emphasizing the fact that the direct agent of judgment is a man appointed by God for that purpose. To him it was given. Whatever motives or political aspirations may actuate this coming man of blood, yet he is God's scourge for the time being. A brief time of peace immediately succeeds the translation of the saints to heaven, and even, as we have seen under the first seal, the rise and progress of a mighty conqueror will not be marked by much bloodshed. His career of unchecked triumph will scarcely break the general peace. But under the second seal we track the footsteps of one who strides through the earth on a mission of blood. He has a divine mandate to take peace from the earth, and that they should slay one another. In his progress he everywhere stirs up the angry passions of men. Ah, little do the governments of Europe dream that in the arming and training of their respective populations, those murderous weapons perfected by the applied science of the day shall be used not merely in aggressive or defensive wars, but in civil broils and party conflicts. It is not here nation against nation, but that they should slay one another. The wild passions of men are let loose. A time of mutual slaughter ensues. The authority of the civil power is unavailing to check the riot and bloodshed in cities, towns, and villages, if indeed it does not lend itself to the awful work of destruction. A great sword, given to the rider, intimates that the broils and commotions which he brings about will be marked by great carnage and bloodshed. War, whether aggressive or defensive, is surely at all times deplorable enough, but a state of open, armed, civil rebellion of man against man, of fellow against fellow, glutting their vengeance and spilling blood like water, is infinitely worse than any state of war conceivable, and such is the awful scene portrayed under this seal.